对，那时候看得到那么可能哈。
考得怎么样？还可以吧？
可以，当时可以嘛。
8块钱不正常？
正常啊。
正常就好，正常，没事儿。没事的吧？那不错，不错，不错。
Weeks after the test, students finally found out how they did. Chen Jibo received a much higher score than he anticipated. While he did not make it to one of the top 2 schools, he will study business at a highly respected college in Hangzhou. Gao Munjia did not make it to her beloved Beta, but she will study tax law at the People's University in Beijing. While everybody else crammed for finals, Mei Jiacheng stayed home on his family's farm and took driving lessons before going off to study math at top Tsinghua University. Peng Quen did not score well on the test. She will study financial management at a second-tier school. Class president Zhang Li has fulfilled her dream of going to one of the top 2 colleges. She will study journalism at Beta University.
我觉得以前努力学习
When I was studying so hard, I thought the most important thing was freedom.
但是自由你不能
You can't demand freedom from the society, your school, or even from your own family.
其实真正的自由
You must rely on yourself to find your freedom. If you can set your own heart free, then nothing can stop
那
you.
么没有什么能够束缚你
Wide Angle continues with Aaron Brown.
Professor Fong, it's good to have you with us on Wide Angle.
Good to be here.
People who watch the film will, one of the things they'll say is, and that is almost inhumane, how hard they drive these kids, how much pressure is on these kids, how much discipline is expected of them, all of that. How do they see American or Western education?
Well, when they're kids, they really envy it. When they're teenagers, and and when I was doing my research, they often ask me, what do American teenagers do? And I'd say, well, they spend half their day in school, but the other half they're playing sports, or in school plays, or hanging out with their friends, or go out and party. And they're like, oh, that would be so nice, and oh, they're so envious. But once they're adults, they actually really value the education they have, and they even say that they want to choose for their own children the kind of high K through 12 education that they had in China. Even though they hate the rote memorization, everyone agrees that's not the best way to learn.
Well, but they don't hate it enough to
the
break
thing
with
is
it.
there's
an educational model here that they believe in.
The exam system is the one level playing field most of them will ever see in their lives, and that's why they really value it. It is a place where the children of poor farmers and the children of high officials can compete on a level playing field without anyone even knowing their name, on a multiple choice, mostly multiple choice. They're objectively graded, national test anonymously. It just matters how you do on that test.
And is that theoretically true or actually true?
It actually is true. I mean,
so there's nobody paying off someone?
No, I mean, it might happen, but it would be extremely rare and difficult because it is so sacred. The fairness of this exam is so sacred that any kind of corruption is likely to be crushed. And that's not true for most things in China. There's so much riding on this for everyone that there will be real anger and sort of uncontrollable anger, and some of which will come from people with high positions of power because their kids are also in the system. Right. So, one case of corruption could cause a major upheaval.
So do you believe that a child from the smallest, poorest village has the same shot as the party leader's child in Beijing?
Well, not the same, but as close to it as they're going to get in this lifetime. I mean, not exactly the same. Of course, I mean, there's cultural capital. There's, you know, the parents can't teach the kid. If the parent doesn't know anything, I mean, the kid is on his or her own. I mean, it's really, they have to be maybe, you know, 10 times as bright. So they don't have the same shot. But if they are 10 times as bright, they can do it.
At what age is that first cut made?
Usually it's made between junior high school and high school. In grade 9, they take an exam to get into high school. And actually that exam is more important than the exam in this documentary, because that really determines whether you can have a chance at even going to any college.
So at 13 or 14 years old, a huge part of a child's life is determined.
It's determined, right.
And so if you're someone, I have a special affinity for the late bloomer in life because I was one. The late bloomers...
Tough luck.
Yeah.
Right. You missed your chance.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
And there are very few second chances. For this generation of only children, they're increasingly dissatisfied with that. They're saying they want second chances because every child is supposed to be a winner.
Don't you worry about the kid who's pretty smart, but maybe not the smartest?
Of course, and that's what people in China are really worried about, that because most of their kids are not the smartest, and they really want the system to be such that everyone, and really, now that there's only one child, everyone has to get the good white-collar job. That's what they're working for. That's why they want to be a superpower, because they see that once you're a superpower, you can have that many opportunities. The problem is right now isn't really that, you know, there aren't enough high schools or colleges in China. It's that there aren't enough white-collar jobs in China. There aren't enough opportunities.
How much of what we see in Chinese education is driven by a notion to be bigger, better, stronger than the United States?
It's not just the United States, it's all the countries in the world. Doesn't every country want to be the best at everything? If they can?
Not to sound like a Harvard professor, but that's an interesting question, and I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure about that. But
I think most countries want to be the best. You know, you want your child to be better than all his or her classmates, and you want your school to be better than all the other schools, and you want your province to be better than the other provinces. You want your sports team to be better. You want your country to be better. It's sort of, I think it's the same thing that Americans are always talking about.
So should American parents be afraid?
Afraid of what?
Of this model and its ability to produce better, smarter, more talented adults than the American model produces?
Depends on how paranoid they are, but I mean, there is a sense in which American kids are going to be competing against Chinese kids, but it's not just a zero-sum game. It's also a sort of win-win situation. I would hope that they might be happy that maybe their kids will someday be able to interact with such disciplined and hard-working people and work side by side in a corporation, in a transnational corporation together. The economies are so intertwined that sort of good environments and stable and economically successful environments anywhere in the world today is good for the entire global economy.
It's good to have you with us in Wide Angle.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Visit Wide Angle online. Test your wits against the final exam. Watch kids worldwide share their senior stress. And go behind the scenes with the filmmaker. It's all at pbs.org.